Hi, I'm Alina at the 2017 Canadian Science Policy Conference. Here I have me, Guy Rouleau, and he's going to tell us about his work in open science.
Yeah, so I'm at the Montreal Neurological Institute. I'm a neurologist, and in our field, neurosciences, we've not done very well, for finding new treatments for patients. And as a scientist, I've always been frustrated by, material transfer agreements and all these complicated things for moving things around. And we got talking at the institute, and we kind of thought that maybe we should get rid of all these barriers and adopt an open policy, freeing science, if you wish. And in addition, I do genetics, and so we generate large amounts of data,
Yeah.
and I interpret the data and I find my things and I publish my papers, but others could take the data and find other things. There's one researcher we just recruited who put his data online. It's electrophysiology data, and there have been 8 papers published on his data, other than his papers.
That's really cool.
So that has value. So, to try to accelerate discovery, if you wish, we decided that we would become an open institute. So, what does that mean? Open institute means that we will publish everything and basically make everything available, make all the data available. We're also creating an open biobank. We're a hospital, so a high quality biobank which would be open to whoever wants to use it for discovery. And we won't pursue any patents, so no intellectual property, no MTAs, no licensing, no nothing. So it's turned out to be quite interesting because you would think industry wouldn't like the notion, but
Yeah.
but they like it a lot.
Oh,
And we've got 2 industrial partners that have invested in our open science activities already, in the millions of dollars.
even without the patents.
That's right. So as it turns out, the pharmaceutical industry, they really want to know what's the best drug to make, and they don't know what the best drug to make is. And so if you do things more quickly, if you focus on developing, discovering targets, for example, they're perfectly happy to be all in the open because then they can pick and choose what they want to do and develop their drugs, and then they'll do their patents and such. So
I see.
the open science is very popular with industry.
That's a really big move on the part of your institute and also your industrial partners. So, what do you envision happening in the next 50 years of data sharing and publication? And is Canada going to be a global leader?
Well, I think that publications will all be open. In 50 years is a long time.
I hope so.
I think it'll be quicker than that. There's still the problem of incentives.
Yeah.
So people are judged by the papers they publish. So if you get a Nature paper, it's better for your career. And so those journals is going to be much more difficult to get them to let go of the proprietary nature, but they will. I think that the movement is too strong, and they're going to be forced by governments, by their peers and such. And open data is just now with the internet and with the capabilities of bioinformatics, it's becoming easier and easier. And I think that everybody's going to be obligated to make their data available. That's a bit complicated though, because depends what kind of data. So
Yeah.
standardized data, high quality data, but there's low quality data, and so it's not a simple matter. But I think it's going to be a very free science world in 50 years. So can Canada lead? I think Canada is leading. I mean, ours is the first institution to embrace open science in the world. So that's good. There are other activities in Canada, like the government of Canada wants to be an open government, and they have a lot of active work to open up information from that they gather. There's something called the Structural Genomics Consortium. I don't know if you've heard of that, but that's based in Toronto, and that is also a completely open concept. So I think we have a lot of leading institutions or ideas or projects. This being said, unless Canada invests, we won't stay leaders. I think we are leaders. Like our project has got the interest of the Gates Foundation, of the Wellcome Trust. The UK government is funding us, some of our conferences. We're engaged with the European Union, with NIH, with Kavli Foundation, and so there's a lot of interest, and we're the focus of the interest. But good ideas. Everybody gets the same good ideas,
Yeah.
and so other institutions are going to follow, I'm sure.
That's great. Congrats on being the first institute to be completely open access. So, what are the strongest incentives that you would tell to other institutes or stakeholders in terms of like embracing open science?
Yeah, I think it's because you increase impact. So you increase impact by amplifying the use of data from your institution. So it's impact,
Yeah.
I think, is the main one. The other is that it in some ways makes life easier.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about hiding things or intellectual property and all of these things. Makes exchanges easier. And I think, though it remains to be proven, I think it will facilitate investment from industry. But I should say that what we're doing is actually there's a social science group that are going to look at what we do and measure what we do. So what we're doing is an experiment, and it's a social experiment. And there are some social scientists who are going to be monitoring our experiment and measuring. So in 5 years, they'll tell us, or they'll determine what's worked, what's not worked. So all these things that I'm hoping for, hopefully will happen, and they'll measure it, and then we'll be able to show that it works.
That's really great. I think it's amazing that you are actually adopting an evidence-based approach to tracking the benefits. So, are there specific examples of things that you're tracking?
Well, we're not tracking.
No,
It's
the team.
because it's this independent outside group, and they had their first workshop in Washington, which is which has all kinds of different stakeholders, and it is to determine what it is that are the outcome measures. In other words, what did they want to track? And they have another workshop in a few months, and after that workshop, they're going to come out with the metrics, the things that they want to measure, and then we will then make sure that we produce the data they need to be able to do the measure. So, I mean, I could say what I think would be measured. How many dollars from industry, grant money, publications, all of these things. But I don't know. I think the social scientists they're looking at that now.
I see. So, before we go, can you tell me what you think of the CSPC and the value in having science policy conversations?
We have to have these science policy conversations. Science is central to a lot of what goes on in the economy, but it's very important that things are done correctly, things are done ethically. It's very important that there's discussion about what are the advantages and disadvantages of certain policies or certain ways of going forward. So I think it's a great initiative. It's the 9th conference, I think, that they have.
Yes.
So that's very good. It's the first time I come, though, because I'm a grind and bind molecular geneticist, and science policy is very new to me. But I think it is very important.
Same here. This is my first science policy conference.
Okay. Excellent.
Where can I go online to find out more about your work?
Yeah, I think it would be the website, the Montreal Neurological Institute website. There is a section on open science. It's not great now, but we're in the process of enhancing it. The other thing is we published a paper in Neuron a few weeks ago, which is basically where we're at. So they contacted us and they wanted to say, okay, you've been doing this for a little while. You want to tell us what's happened so far. So that's a good source of information as well.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you for being here with us at CSPC, and have a good day.
Thank you. You too.